Maxey Pro Day here, and the stars are out in L.A. Trae Young, NBA All-Star, former number 5 overall pick. Tristan Thompson, he was the 4th pick back in 2011, currently a free agent, but he won a title with them. And LeBron's here as well, but so is his teammate, Anthony Davis, 7-time NBA All-Star, newly minted NBA champ as well. Taking it in, watching some of the players of the future here.
I have a chef, 1,600 makes a day, so his body looks really good. He's really shooting the ball at a high level, and he's really taking this as seriously as any other prospect, I've seen in this draft.
Yeah, he was grinding, to say the least, and most players are out there working, but that the 4:50 a.m. wake up when you don't know if we're going to have a season or when the draft is going to be. He's gone through some ball handling, there's some full court transition dunks. He's now going to work on some pick and roll and dribble handoff finishes at the rim.
I was up by his second workout every day.
Good for you, Jay.
I would not have missed any of his second workouts.
As we look at him get going, I know we talked about earlier, he's a big game player. Jay, do you anticipate any nerves in this situation? I mean, a lot of people have not been able to see him or Anthony Edwards play in a long time.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think that's a major concern. They do these workouts every day, and I'm sure they've gone over this type of thing. But, I think one of the things that's most interesting to me about this year's draft is because of COVID and the fact that you're not able to have a normal experience with a combine. And, normally they'd be through Summer League already, and the season would be starting. But scouts and front offices are going to have to rely more upon the film that they have and what they saw during the regular season. And I wonder if that's going to lead to better decisions.
Mike, these are the rules that are new this year. Teams may schedule 10 visits up to 4.5 hours with draft eligible players. That's 10 visits total. And you see the number of personnel there, 3-team personnel, a physician, how the limiting the individuals are along with the player. And they can only meet with meet only twice with any single player. And of course, COVID-19 protocols are in there. I mean, Mike, when you talk to guys around the league and agents and scouts, how much are these new rules affecting or even hampering their ability to really assess what we're looking at with these young players?
Yeah, it's been the wild, wild west, to be honest, from everyone I've talked to, from agents to, executives and GMs. I think they are happy that they're finally in gyms, right, and they're allowed to watch these guys. And, generally you put a little bit of value in pre-draft workouts, but the dinners, lunches, watch them work out, get to know their circle is certainly really important, but it's a much smaller scope than we're used to seeing, and we can usually rely on, some combine breakouts, right? Guys who play really well in 5-on-5 or, tournaments like the Portsmouth Invitational. You really see a lot of guys break out at those type of things, and we just simply don't have that, so it's been a bit challenging.
And in all these workouts, they're limited to 1-on-0. And in past years, they could play 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and at least that gave you a little bit more of a competitive glimpse into what these players are made of. And 1-on-0 is a very limited value. I mean, it's better to see them than not, but 1-on-0 is limited.
That's something I've talked about a lot in this offseason, guys, is the ability or the inability to actually work on your game in real game situations and play 5-on-5. I can't imagine going that long without playing a game. Mike, how were some guys getting around this in some way?
So he's been able to be in an NBA environment, but not every prospect has had that luxury, especially the guys who are kind of, fringe draft picks who are scratching and clawing to make it on a roster. But, you guys said it earlier, it's going to be a shortened offseason. I mean, no summer league. We don't know what training camp's going to look like. So that's why it's really, really important that guys like Maxey are staying prepared, staying in shape, staying fit. And I think you're going to see teams really look at, the Obi Toppins, the Tyrese Halliburtons of the world, guys who are veterans who will be ready from day one.
And you see Maxey is progressively moving his way further out, working on his off the ball screen moves and snake dribbles and whatnot. As you look at the scouting report on the left side here, Jay, take us through what you see as the strengths and weaknesses in Maxey's game and what we're seeing here on the court maybe play out.
Well, he's a competitor, and he plays at both ends of the floor. And the fact that he's got a varied offensive game, he can put the ball on the deck. He's more of a right-hand workout. You can see that he's improved his shooting mechanics. He shot the ball last year. His shot was started from his chin, basically. And so a very low starting point and low release point, and shot the ball more out than up. and you can see he's already improved upon that, and it can still get even better. So I think he shoots a good ball, and he's going to. A lot of players that have good mechanics to start with really improve their shot once they get to the NBA because they've got so much time to work on it. And I think Tyrese Maxey is going to be one of those players.
Yeah, he shot, just under 30% from the three-point line. We have a little video from Kentucky where you could see Jay was talking about what we're focusing on is his elbow and where he's catching and releasing the ball. When he played at Kentucky, as Jay mentioned, it was a much lower release as he's working to get it up and get more arc on his shot.
The year, I think he had 26. Now that shot is starting basically from his nose and around his chin. And watch how he releases it. The shot goes out rather than up, so it's a flatter shot than he would like it to be. The more arc you have on it, the bigger the basket becomes. There's your physics lesson for the day. I'm quite a
all right. You can go home.
Quite
now.
A physics guy. But you can see he wants to get that. One, it's going to be easier to challenge, easier to bother, easier to block. But if he gets that more up than out, I think he's going to be a much better shooter. And he's already an outstanding free throw shooter. He shoots 83%. So that bodes well for his 3-point shooting going forward. And I think he's just going to. And I think the shot will have more arc, and then it'll get off quicker as well. Mike, would you agree with that? How would you sort of evaluate his shooting mechanics and where he can be as opposed to where he is?
No, I think it's exactly right. And it's actually something that I talked to him about when I went out to watch him work out in LA a few weeks ago. He said that was an emphasis for him, working with trainer Chris Johnson, finishing with his elbow above his eye. That's what he kept saying and emphasizing, and that's going to lead to good results. And with him, I've always seen the touch. He has it around the rim with floaters, and he shoots a really good deep ball. I mean, he almost shoots it better from NBA range than the college line, and over 83% from the free throw line. And so anytime someone says he's a non-shooter or this and that, I just look at that Michigan State game. I look at a late game, 1 minute left on the clock, great defender Aaron Henry switched out on him, Madison Square Garden, playing the top team in the country in his first collegiate game, and he splashed the hesitation up three right in his face. And so the confidence is certainly there. You mentioned his production against top 25 teams, and to me he's always been a big time shot maker who's not afraid of the lights. It's just about like you said, not shooting a flat ball and being more consistent with it.
Mike, what about his athleticism? He's a good athlete. You don't do what he's done without being a really good athlete, but he's not super explosive. I would say he's quick and has a very good first step, and I think gets by maybe better athletes because he's got a very good understanding of the game and great balance and all that. But how about his athleticism on the NBA level?
Yeah, he's not really put you on a. And I think some of that is the length, but a lot of it is his strides to the rim. I mean, he has incredibly long strides. He has great body control. He can play really low to the ground.
He reminded me of the Jamal Murray. Tyrese is about 6'2", maybe a little bit bigger. Jamal is a little bit bigger, probably 6'5", but the same kind of player. On the ball, off the ball, fight to defend, deflect balls, rebounds above the rim. I laugh every day I walk in, the kid had a smile on his face. It's a spirit about him of what he could do. And so you look at him, what you see, where you think he could be, he goes. Our kids here are not pigeonholed into one position. They're taught basketball, and when you watch him, how he shoots it, his runners, his handle, his physicalness, if anybody passes on him in a certain range, it's kind of like going to be the Jamal thing, the Shea thing. If you want me to keep going, I'll tell you, he's going to be that guy.
Of course, Coach is talking about Jamal Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Obviously, Tyler Hero falls into that group. Guys, do you think Maxey has that potential to be maybe slept on a bit in the draft, but then overperform it when we come to next year? Mike, you start.
at the USA basketball level, at the high school level, McDonald's All-American camp. I thought he was really good on the ball in some situations, and I think that's an area where he's going to have success in the NBA. He already knows how to play off of it. They played that three-guard lineup at Kentucky with, Ashton Hagans and Emmanuel Quickly, so that's going to serve him well, right? Because that's what NBA teams are doing now. They're playing with multiple guards. We see it with a Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, or Oklahoma City, did it with Chris Paul, Shea, Dennis Schroeder. So I think he's going to fit in right away in that regard, and then also has a lot more on-ball game, as a scorer, and then as he continues to grow as a facilitator, I think he's an ideal fit in today's game. I really do.
Yeah, and Dallin, I think there's no question that Tyrese Maxey is going to continue to get better as a basketball player. But to what John Calipari's talking about, the question is, do you think he's going to get better than Aaron Nesmith's going to get from Vanderbilt, or Cole Anthony from North Carolina, or Devin Vassell from Florida State, even Isaac Okoro of Auburn, all of whom are in the same range, maybe ranked a little bit higher. So, look, we've always got players that are going to outperform Maxey. I think you can say without hesitation he loves to play. I mean, look, first of all, you're not going to get up at 4:50 in the morning every day if you don't love it. So he's willing to put the work in. And John Calipari said it, and I know Seth Greenberg said it a lot during the course of the season, that he plays with a joy. Cal said spirit. But he's always smiling. He's willing to work. He loves to be in the gym, and I think that's a valuable asset as well.
Yeah, the intangibles are critical.
Yeah,
Do you want to work?
I think anytime you can really just look down the end of your bench and know that the kid is going to bring it every single night in the energy department, and he's going to bring guys together and have that joy, that's obviously a huge asset aside from just his skill level.
Working on some three-pointers, running baseline to baseline.
You can see he is making these shots, and he's really worked on his shooting mechanics, and I think they're going to get even better.
Mike, you think that, Jay's right, he's knocked down a number of these shots right now, especially in the last two drills. Do you think even this performance here will help assuage some fears, if there were, from some scouts?
I don't think so much. I think watching the guy 1-on-0 carries, only so much weight. But I do think people that really like him, scouts that really like him.
At the Sports Academy in LA. This is Tyrese Maxey, the freshman from Kentucky. Projected, potential, I should say, lottery pick. I'm Dallin Cuff, Jay Billis, Mike Schmitz, NBA draft analyst, is out there at the facility. And you see Maxey, he's been working his way further out now, taking some deep threes off the pick and roll, pick and pop action.
Last year at Kentucky, and he didn't just play on the offensive end. I mean, he really works defensively, and I think that's a really helpful.
Jay, you mentioned him playing in big games. That Michigan State game was at the Gardens. It was the Champions Classic. First game of the season for Kentucky, bunch of young players against a Michigan State team that had a lot of guys back. And man, he was the star of stars that night in the world's most famous arena. Had 26 points and kind of announced his presence to the college basketball world and to the NBA for that matter.
Yeah, and in a game, as you know, Dallin, that's the first game of the season. So sometimes, especially with a young team, the games aren't always as precise as you'd like, but there's no question that as good as Cassius Winston, Michigan State was, Tyrese Maxey was the star of that game and made huge plays late. And for a teenager to do that on that stage was really impressive.
Round of applause from LeBron and the crew. I think that we will be seeing some of that as well when he starts his workout. That's Anthony Edwards. As Tyrese Maxey's buzzer goes off, he makes his final free throw. Solid work from the freshman from Kentucky. And that is Anthony Edwards, number 1 overall pick out of Georgia, getting set to go here in LA.
Edwards, he's got a 7-foot wingspan. He can be an excellent defender. Mike Schmitz did a fabulous breakdown of what Anthony Edwards can be on the defensive end when he's locked in and focused on it. And I think he can be even better offensively with his shot. If his shot selection improves, if he gets to the rim even more, which will lead him to more free throws and higher percentage shots. I think he's the most talented player in the draft. I think Mike Schmitz puts LaMelo Ball as the most talented player, but it's a close call either way. Reasonable minds can differ on that.
Some of the strengths and weaknesses, and Jay, you mentioned he's an absolutely freak athlete. He did a little ball handling there, and now he's coming off ball screens, attacking the rim. And the high praise that came from Coach Crean. Coach will be joining us in a few minutes to talk about Anthony Edwards. But the shot selection and decision-making is always the question with this young man. But I think that same piece that Mike Schmitz did with him, Jay, that you referenced, he was very aware of some of the decisions he didn't make properly. Kind of desire to watch film, to learn from it, to get better. Because he has all the physical tools. He's still a young man learning the game on both ends. Because defensively, he even said sometimes he just kind of checked out on that end of the floor.
Yeah, and Dallin, as you know, when you have this, because Edwards had the potential of going off like he did in the second half against Michigan State, and there are just so few players that have that kind of ability to be able to take over a game and go nuts like that. And I think and Tom Crean will, I'm sure, talk about it, but he has to refine his game because he's got all the tools. It's not like he's got to go out and get something. He just needs to refine it.
Absolutely. Let's hear from Tyrese Maxey, who just finished his workout. He's with Mike.
Tyrese, just finished up your pro day workout here. You have LeBron courtside, Anthony Davis, Trae Young, a bunch of stars. What were the emotions, what were the feelings that went into that?
It felt good. It felt like a normal day in the office. I mean, those guys come to the gym every now and then, and they're just encouraging to have him as a big brother and a sideline supporter for today.
Obviously no NBA personnel here, but I'm sure plenty of teams, presidents, owners, GMs watching at home. What do you think you were able to show?
I was able to show that I can knock down shots consistently from off the bounce, from deep, catch and shoot, off the move. And I was able to show my conditioning was one of the main things I wanted to focus on coming in, just because of, you never know when the season's going to start because of COVID-19. And I think I showed a little bit of my athleticism, got a little bit high on some of these dunks, you know what I'm saying?
Last time I saw you, you told me about your daily routine, 4:50 a.m. wake-ups, 6 a.m. workouts, 2-a-days. Why are you doing that when it's 75 and sunny out in L.A. and maybe not every prospect is?
I want to be great. I was up this morning at 4:50 going to the gym at 6 o'clock. I told Chris asked me did I want to take off. I said nothing changes.
Teenager to have that kind of foresight and to have that kind of discipline, I think bodes really well for him, that he's going to be taking care of his body, sees his body as his best asset. That's really important, and I think a big step for him.
Yeah, I could have used a few less brownie sundaes when I was playing. I'll tell you that much.
I could use them now. I put on the COVID-19 in the last several months. I have certainly not been taking advantage of nutrition.
Well, these cameras are coming back, Jay. You might get up now in some shooting drills, step back threes he's hitting, showing some range. I mean, he hasn't even come close to towing the NBA line. That might be the closest he's got, about a foot back, and he's knocking them down. Overall in 2013, Mike is with a now NBA champ.
KCP, another Georgia Bulldog here, potential #1 pick, watching him work out. What stands out most about what you've seen from Anthony Edwards?
I've been watching him for a little minute, even at Georgia. I mean, he's an all-around player. He can handle the ball, he can shoot it, he can get downhill, he can finish at the rim. Just an all-around player to me.
What advice would you give to a young man like that entering the NBA at just 19 years old as a potential top pick?
Continue to work hard, you know what I'm saying? Just continue to put in the work. It's going to be more to come. With the years they've been in the league, just continue to work hard. Keep the game, keep perfecting your game, stay humble, and just stay ready.
What do you remember most about your pre-draft experience?
Not much. I had a couple workouts. I got a chance to travel, to go to different teams, to see like what the arena was like. Just to train with different NBA teams. That's the experience of that. Just still going through the same process, but I didn't have a pro day. But just being able to travel was fun.
And what was that NBA bubble experience like for you? Obviously a champion now and made a ton of huge shots.
Man, the bubble was fine for me. I had a great group of guys and my teammates. Man, we made it fun. We made that bubble as fun as possible, and we, came out.
You've been around some of the dynamic guards and players in the last 10 or 20 years in the NBA, and so many great players overall. What kind of intangibles does this young man have measured up to some of the greats?
Well, compared to some of the guys that I've had, starting with Dwayne Wade and Victor Oladipo, I think the comparison that I would make is that they are all three of them are tremendous teammates. And for Anthony to be the kind of teammate that he is at his age, and playing the entire year at 18, is incredible. The work ethic is beyond belief, especially after games. And Dwayne and Victor were both incredible workers in college, and obviously carried that on to the NBA. And Anthony Edwards walked in with the same thing. I mean, I've never been around a guy that would go back in the gym like that at night and work on his game. And then the other part of it, and I don't use this word lightly, and I think it's so important in the characteristic of how he is. He's got great empathy. He loves his teammates. He's a caring person.
What he was capable of. Can you talk a little bit about that and then explain what the sandpit is? I saw your sandpit at Marquette. I never saw it at Georgia.
Well, we have one. It was over by the football field and over by the track and field. And barefoot, just attack it. Wanted to win every competition. Wanted to uplift his teammates. Absolutely fearless out there in the Georgia heat. And the weight room, he would do something different. I want to say just about every day. He would blow our strength coach away, Sean Hayes, who's done a fantastic job here. And his balance, his power and strength, his coordination, all those things are really, really strong. Went up. All those types of things got better. But the natural ability that he has strength-wise, combined with the fact that he wants to win at everything and the level of competitiveness that he has, it's really amazing. He really. I think it's an adage that sometimes is overused. When you say somebody's not even scratching the surface, he's not even scratching the surface. He just turned 19 on August 5th. He's going to be so good. He's just got to get into an environment where he's got a great relationship with the head coach and the coaching staff. He's got some mentors that can help him along the way. And that people remember that he's 19 and really should be in his freshman year of college because he came to college a year early.
Coach, we're watching Anthony obviously in a one-on-one workout right now. And some of the things that he had mentioned even in the offseason that he wanted to work on and get better at and knew it was defensively.
He's got great power in his feet. And with that, gives him some tremendous balance. Dwayne Wade developed that. Victor Oladipo developed that. OG Anunoby, who we had, has got tremendous strength and power in his feet, which helps provide balance. Nick Claxton grew into that. And Anthony came in with it. He just
down and slide. And so I think if he lands in the right situation with the right coach, the right vet, he's not just going to be an adequate defender on that end. I think he's actually going to be an asset.
Mike, you had a fabulous interview with Anthony Edwards where you watched film with him, and I was really impressed. I saw it with Tom Crean because, Tom's one of the best coaches in the country, and he's so great with attention to detail. And you could tell that Anthony took coaching really well from Coach Crean. But with you, he asked a lot of questions. I thought his self-evaluation was great, and he really took constructive criticism well. Did that impress you? Because you've done a million of those interviews.
Caliber player. You've seen a lot of Anthony Edwards, I imagine, watching him in this workout as well. What stands out most to you about his game?
There's a lot. You see his athleticism. I've seen him in the game. He's super smart. He can make the right reads. He can pass. He can score. He's just a great player.
Any advice that you would give him as he goes through this process? You were a very highly regarded prospect yourself. He's going to go through maybe some similar things. What advice would you give him?
Just to focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Focus on getting better. Focus on the things that matter. And that's getting better every day and making sure you're ready for the games when they start. That's really what matters.
Anything you remember about your pre-draft process?
I remember being nervous. Especially in this environment. You have everybody watching. You just want to be perfect. And he missed some shots today. He just wants to be perfect. Him and Tyrese both. So I remember both being nervous, but just wanting to be perfect. So they're doing really good today.
Yeah, well, those nerves weren't.
Guys are just turning just turned 19. Trae at the time when he was going through his process was 19. So these are young men with a lot of eyeballs on them and a lot of pressures. They want to move into the highest draft slot possible as they look forward to the NBA. We'll pop up that mock draft again. The NBA draft is November 18th, 7 Eastern on ESPN. So just a couple weeks away. And this is the mock draft. Jay, I know you think Anthony Edwards should be number 1 ahead of LaMelo Ball, but as you said before, it's kind of splitting hairs. As you look at the rest of the top 10 here, any of these players jump out to you guys that you think that folks should really be aware of as we are heading into draft time here?
Well, James Wiseman out of Memphis, he only played 3 games before that NCAA issue got him, and he decided that he was going to step away and just focus on the draft. But at 6'11", 7 feet.
Conclusion here as we went through some of that top 10. I know you mentioned Tyrese Halliburton, outstanding guard. I mean, guys coming out of schools like Iowa State, people may not have had a chance to see him as much. And Jay, this may be your point right now. We're just going to watch him dunk a little bit to see the athleticism as we finish things off.
Yeah, it's a good way to finish, to leave this in a scout's mind. But, you know, it was timely to see Trae Young get interviewed by Mike Schmitz because he's got all the ability in the world. To hear Tom Crean, who's as smart as any basketball person I've ever met, say he's just scratching the surface, that's got to make everybody in a draft position feel like he's worth it. And I think he's worth the number 1 pick.
We'll find out November 18th, 7 o'clock Eastern, ESPN. We will have the NBA draft, and Anthony Edwards will definitely be in that conversation.
Very great. Really great. I mean, I think my conditioning could be a lot better. But like I said before the workout, I said my catch and shoot has gotten a lot better. Yeah, most definitely. I feel like if you had anybody else out here, they would have been, out of breath the whole time, starstruck because all these guys on the sideline, and I feel like I'm just ready just because I've been grinding 8 months and I haven't complained about the draft being pushed back. I just like it because I like the feeling of getting better.
Well, Anthony, you weren't phased. You had, like I said, LeBron out of his seat, one of the greatest of all time. So, an impressive workout, and appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much for having me.